Hello. What I'm going to do today is show you basically creating factions for your NPCs, and then if you're going on to New Vegas, I'll show you about reputations. So what I'm going to do is say you have an NPC just by right clicking in New that you want to make a faction for. So we'll just do that for now and not give them any faction whatsoever. Then you'll want to go to the faction section, right click New, then go into this list here, right click New, and give your faction a name, which I'm going to give my faction. That's the name. Next up, what you'll want to do is these boxes up here. Evil will decide whether or not the faction is evil, which essentially will mean stealing from it doesn't lose your karma. Track crime will mean that these people will remember crimes that you have committed against their faction, and you know those, like for example, if you murder someone, people in the faction, other members of a faction will know that you've done that. I think that expires after 3 days. The other boxes, I'm not certain what they do, but they don't appear to make any difference. But for now, I'm just going to check track crime, and then members, we will not do anything in, and we will hit OK. Then we'll go back to our NPC and find him. There he is. And we want to go to factions, right click New, and find the faction that we created. There. Ranks again aren't important in my experience, so we'll want to find our faction, and here is another important thing. So as I say, right click New, and my faction we will put as allies to them. And let's say you wanted them, if you wanted them to be evil and hostile to the player, you would find player and put enemy. But we'll have them be neutral to the player. I don't really think you have to include the player in the faction thing, they'll just be neutral to him naturally. And again, any factions, essentially inter-faction relations, just involve you select a faction, for example, player faction, and select one of these. But each faction should probably include its own faction as allies, which would make most sense. And one other thing, NPC here, you should probably set, I can't even remember where it is, you know. Set him to wherever that is, to help friends and enemies, but I can't find where it is. No friends and allies. There we go. Assistance, you should probably set helps friends and allies, which will mean that if you assault a member of his faction, he will help you. As long as my faction, your faction, is set to ally. So that's pretty much that. But if you're on New Vegas, you may want to also give him a reputation, which we're going to look at now. So you can right click New, but you can see that we know images, so for that you will have to choose an image, like that will assume that you have one. Like obviously that is an outrageous thing to do, but that would involve creating a DDS image and putting it in, I don't really know how to do it, but putting it in the correct folder, and I'm not sure what folder it has to go into. So for my one, I'm just going to go to Good Springs, and you can see we've already got a Pip-Boy image here, and give it a name. Let's go for rep nv my faction, and the value here is what it starts off at. So we'll leave it at 15, so it starts off neutral. Again, I'm not completely certain what for faction values are, you know, exactly what numbers you need to be to go up and down, but you can probably check on the Fallout wiki for that. So you can decide what your starting position is, but we will want to give it a name as well. That's the name that will appear in your actual game, my faction. So, in order to add or remove reputation, you'll need to use a basic sort of script. So what you'll want to do is, for this one, I'll just make a quick new quest and show you how to do it. Just show you what you need to type. So let's say, for example, you wanted to, no, let's not have that, let's do a greeting. Have a script so that when you speak, say for example you wanted to say something to your NPC, and when you say it to him, you will gain reputation. You will use, can I remember the command? Let's see with this. Add reputation exact. So if you type in add reputation exact, that will allow you to create an exact value for how much reputation you put in, like literally the exact number. So you put in, if you want it to gain reputation, you type 1, and if you want to gain infamy, you type 0. But in this example, I'll gain fame, and let's say 30. I know that's a quite high value. So yeah, I made a mistake. I'm just gonna nip off camera and go and find out what it is I'm supposed to type, because I can't remember what you do, which isn't good. See, I never plan these tutorials in advance. I should really do. Okay, I figured out what I did wrong. I forgot to include what faction I wanted reputation added to. So what I should have done is gone New Vegas reputation my faction, so that you would gain reputation for that faction. Are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? Yep. I'm very tired this morning. Reputation New Vegas my faction. Oh, are you kidding me? Are we really doing this right now? Oh, it's because I spelt my faction wrong in the ID. Oh my god. Okay. There we go. So you type in add reputation exact to the script box, the ID of your faction, number 1 for fame and number 0 for infamy, and the exact value of a reputation you want to add. So you can either do that for a conversation topic, for example, in game. If you tell Vulpus and Coulter that you admire the Legion's justice, you'll gain fame, and that's how that's done. But if you wanted to do it for completing an objective, you would go and put it into this script here. Like that, you would do that instead. Yep, see? Just make sure that you don't put zeros in front of a name, in front of the ID of your faction, because that can confuse the script and make mistakes. I think that should be, but that's not everything yet. I haven't finished. Another thing you can do is if you get rid of exact, then you can have this be a number between 1 and 5. 1 would be a very minor reputation boost. 2 would be a minor reputation boost. 3 an average one. 3 a major one. No, 4 a major one, and 5 would be very major. But again, these don't have exact values, so probably your best bet is to use the add reputation exact command, so you can add a very precise amount of reputation. So you can decide whether you go up or down in infamy and so on. And when NPCs of that faction die, you will automatically lose reputation for that faction. Next up, we need to go to factions again and go back to my faction. Now in this reputation box, you select the reputation you want to affect that faction and hit OK. And that should be everything. If I think up something else, I'll add it to this, but I haven't planned out this tutorial very well today, so it may be a bit hard to follow. So comment any questions you have or point out any mistakes I've made. Thank you for watching.